Hello, beautiful lights, and welcome to another episode of From a Medium's Perspective. I am thrilled to welcome back Jill Mattson. She's been with us before. She's a sound healer, a spirit artist. And Jill, if you would give me a little blurb that you'd like to share with them.
Alrighty. I've spent, 30-ish years studying antiquity, not any old antiquity, but the secret writings of Jesus, Buddha, Lao Tzu, the Egyptian priesthood. And since I'm a musician, as I did this lifelong quest to look at all these secret doctrines and how to get closer to God and expand your consciousness, health, etc., I'd get excited whenever they talked about sound. And sound was one of their most well-kept secrets because it's an energy source. It's free, it's powerful, and you can diagnose and you can be very powerful with it. Sound, in their mind, the right sounds, was the fast track to enlightenment.
I want to interject. It's very interesting because you mentioned antiquity, and a lot of people in the US are sort of more familiar with Christian philosophy, but it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. And it's interesting because we talk a lot about light workers, and it's interesting to think that we ignore an entire spectrum of vibration, which is the sound vibration, which actually generates the colors of light and everything.
Does. And that's true. I know people might think that Christianity is somewhat apart from world religions, and perhaps from Christ on, or to some extent. But the Old Testament is like one little hump of lace in between Egypt, China, Samaria, all of those ideas and thoughts, traditions, methods to enlighten, they're all interwoven. Enlightenment to me is white light. And when you take white light through a crystal, out comes the component rainbow colors of light. And keep that in mind, along with if resonance, and that's science. If you have two violins and you play an A string on one, the other A is going to magically sound. And also octaves of that A, which means the high A, the low A. And in that manner, through the spectrum of colors and octave resonance, through those different frequencies of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, you can exchange energy with all that is. So to me, enlightenment is when you can master all of white light. And what is white light? White light, if you've mastered it all, meaning all the component colors, you've mastered your anger, you've mastered pity, you've mastered egotism, you've mastered healing your body, you've mastered intuition. All of the mental, emotional, and physical attributes on earth that we can be conscious of, can be found or linked to the color spectrum. Mm-hmm. So enlightenment is mastery of everything. It's like becoming God.
Yeah, well, we do, like, we're made in the image of God from a Christian perspective, and what that is, I think we're all still trying to understand completely, because the more you know, the less you know. but but then the more you know. So I find it really interesting because as a medium, when I think about people going through multiple lifetimes and becoming higher and higher vibrational because through our life review we learn how it felt to be the other people in our lives. It's not just a review of our life. We learn how it felt to be the other people. So we realize, oh, that action or thought or word that I had was limiting and hurtful, and I don't want to do that again. So we come back and try it again. And it takes time for consciousness to evolve. But as we do, we move back and higher to the original source, which, we're very about separateness in the physical dimension. We're very intent on our unique individuality, and certainly we are. We all have a very particular vibration, but as our energies rise, we do become more and more like source. And you have translated your musical talents and your knowledge of that process into actual music that can help people, correct?
Correct. If you were to get an aura photograph, most of us will see that we radiate when healthy, beautiful colors. One person's red orange and the next person's aura is blue green. But white light is the mastery, the combination of them all.
Mm-hmm.
So in antiquity, there was 2 sets of mathematics when converted to cycles per second or sound, produce white light in your aura. I suspect that string theory is correct, and each dimension or world has a certain tuning. Therefore, certain number patterns or sound patterns kind of like align you with source, my theory. But at any rate, the patterns are the solfeggio tones, a fabulous patterns of an ancient method of creating 369 tying right into modern physics. It's the Fibonacci tones, which is shapes found in nature, and an ancient form of geometry that converts shapes to numbers, or everything you see in nature to numbers. And then I put it to tones.
Oh, that's huge because it is a matrix. That's
It
why
is.
numerology makes sense, or astrology makes sense, because there is a pattern and it is related to that. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and when you take aura photos, which I've got in my Ancient Sounds Modern Healing book, you can see just listening to these number patterns brings white light in your aura, which is fantastic. Now, where does that white light come from? In my Paint Your Soul CD, it comes from the first chakra above your head, and the light from above your life stream pours down in, and it's complete, it's mastered, and it just like trickles down like snowflakes, like glitter. And my Stardust CD is another ancient matrix of pulling down light from the star chakra or your stellar chakra about 5 feet above your head. So both of these pieces of music use ancient patterns, matrix. Interestingly enough, if you use physics to find the frequencies given off by a planet in their orbit, and that's the same as this ancient matrix for playing the sky. So I put the musics into like tuning forks, like a wind chime background.
Mm-hmm.
The idea being that you ingest sound through your ears or the nervous system, which makes it digital, or through your skin, which makes it analog and more potent, and through resonance. But after reading the work of Robert Becker, a physicist, I decided to put all my matrix or healing tones in tiny or smaller tones. So, because I believe that these subtle sounds are more impactful. And so I'm a musician, and it's beautiful music with little wind chimes in the background that are very enlightening.
You have been generous enough to share some clips of your work. I will play our first one for our listeners. And this one is from your Stardust CD entitled Always.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Thank you, Jill.
I channel my music, so it's really given to me.
Oh,
So
I could have just, you could have just literally been transported into another dimension. I had to hold on because I have the show. I have to stay here. But that was incredible.
well, thanks to, oh, what's that? Cosmic plagiarism. Thanks to my spirits.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cosmic Plagiarism. LOL, LOL. You had a second clip. Is there anything you'd like to say about that
Yes.
one?
This one is the chakra right above your head. Jesus referred to this chakra as the Holy Spirit. It has different names in different traditions. This one also brings down white, but
Excuse me.
because it's closer to you, it's just above your crown chakra. It has a unique gift in that it understands duality. It understands your life, whereas the last one was like pure heavenly bliss.
Yes.
And pure heavenly bliss understands pure heavenly bliss. So like if a soul's about to pass, the higher self is like, yay, they just completed their difficult task on earth.
Mm-hmm.
And here on earth, we're crying our eyes out, boo-hooing it. And it's
Yeah.
almost like we're in different dimensions. Whereas the chakra right above your head is kind of like the mediary. It understands that this is a beautiful, joyous occasion, a success for the soul in the example of a certain death. But it also understands that it's going to be sorrowful from our perspective. So this music brings down white light, but it also brings like a sweet, cathartic release. It's a very high lessening of sorrow, but it'll slowly just take it out. It's transporting you up to like the higher light.
And this is from your My Soul CD, and it's
Okay.
entitled My Soul, the clip. Thank you. Here we go. Wow. I like that one because it sort of honors grief but allows for hope.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
it takes Greek out. It slowly abstracts a little sweet sorrow.
Yeah, it's healing. You know, when we're recovering from things that are difficult, taking a huge step from grief to joy is sometimes too great a step, and being able to transition gradually from one level of feeling to another is how we make it there, and that certainly feels like it would help someone, comfort them. What a masterful piece.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, uh, you and I know that the will uh, We have to let go of it. We also have to let go of our intellect to allow purity of connection with source and the other side to come through. I know for the truest messages in mediumship, which allows us to access that subconscious part of us. And you were talking about sort of in the notes that you shared with me about the use of willpower and how that's really a slow way to ascension, and that was a viewpoint held by the ancient masters. Will you expound on that for our listeners?
Certainly, Tracy. The willpower is like focusing on one thing at a time. Yet we're exposed to like all the frequencies there are all the time. So we might be exposed to 1,000 different frequencies, let's say in an hour or two. And if we really muster up that willpower, we're focusing on improving one item. And let's say we're trying to be more patient. So while we're trying to be patient, the toilet floods and the dog tracks in all kinds of stuff. And somebody calls and they're trying to sell you Girl Scout cookies and someone spills it's like
yeah, a catastrophe
going on.
A comedy of errors. Yeah.
And like, who remembers about even trying to do patience? It's just that there's so much distraction and so many. And why we're maybe being patient, maybe we're being insensitive. So the ancient people felt that focusing on one at a time, i.e. will, was like trying to win a race while swimming in mud. And they understood how you ingest sound, being very psychic and very clairaudient. They could see that certain sounds carefully pitched like fill you up with white light. So you see the person over there trying to do patience staying the same. You see someone over here listen to music filling up full of white light. Da-da.
Right.
So they were very secretive and they valued their sounds. They attributed a fall into civilization to the loss of its frequencies and matrix of sound. They kept these frequencies that affect your emotions, brain waves, and body. They kept them a secret, wanting to control their own people to make them exactly what they wanted and powerful. And the inner circle got the real juicy stuff. Like we just listened to.
Yeah, I don't know any other institutions or organizations or governmental agencies that would want to do that.
It was very powerful stuff, and it is used by our government to control people. Sound can kill. Sound can be a weapon.
Yes.
Sound can control your emotions. Think about it.
Because we're vibrational beings, I'm going back to a concept that I think you mentioned. We vibrate relative to the sounds that are around us, which of course is a message to choose your friends and family and time wisely. But like a tuning fork that is struck creates a resonance in a tuning fork across the room that isn't being struck in the same vibrational. By allowing, rather than willing, by allowing these vibrations to connect with you, you can actually shift your being and your awareness. I'm very curious about the name of this next clip that you have. It's called scleranthus.
That is an actual flower. In South America, in indigenous tribes, quite a while ago, they used flowers like we use medicine. They approached health in the physical body through the lens of always having positive emotions. For example, no worries, no ulcer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they also were very sensitive. Again, the higher spiritual shamans and leaders were very sensitive, noting that if you put your hand above a flower, you get like a beautiful shot of high energy. If you were to
Mm-hmm.
do an aura photo, you can see this gorgeous, colored, beautiful light coming out of a flower. That's why we use them at a funeral or when someone's sick. It's to lift. It's to lift. But all flowers are different. The rose, let's say, beautiful, the daisy, cheerful. And they would correlate emotions with each flower and then use them like medicine to make the emotional being enlightened.
Mm.
Meaning pure, perfect white light, harmony, balance, love, only good stuff. And when it was like a tuning fork, when you mastered that emotional body, the idea was that the emotional body then was the tuning fork for everything else.
Mm. The emotional body was the tuning fork for everything else. Yes.
And so
Yes.
they controlled the emotional bodies by making flower essences, yet you can ingest them through sound. And I have the Healing Flower Symphonies. It's 2 CDs. And I have 12 emotions, which my spirit guides suggest clear the emotional body. And I have the positive frequency of the flower, which is the same as an emotion like impatience, granting the feeling or the virtue of patience.
Mm.
And then, Tracy, I get so excited about
This is just, I love it. I just can't even tell you. I'm happy because hopefully you and I will have a chance to work in tandem in our individual ways.
the way I tested my flowers in a nursing home where they were depressed, ill, and doped up. And I was hired to play live violin before they ate lunch. So they'd wheel everybody in, and all the aides left and took a break. So everybody's stuck.
Mm-hmm. Captive audience.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm playing violin. When I played this beautiful, happy stuff, it was very irritating to them. And
Yeah.
think about being really down. Like, think of losing the most important person in your life through death and someone wanting to sing Yankee Doodle Dandy in your face.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it's hard not to backslap them because we have a natural reaction. We can't help it. You know, crap happens and something really negative floods us. We need to stay in that vibration, not hide it, not shove it into our subconscious, not bury it, but feel it and let it go. And we don't do that. We do not do that. I know I feel myself somewhat evolved, and I will tell myself and so believe it that didn't bother me, some argument or something, and then I'll go paint about it for the next year.
Yeah.
And have these like grisly paintings, you know.
I understand. You got to get it out, got to process. That's right. Yeah, it's, releasing something isn't denial.
Exactly.
Denial and repression are great when you're in a traumatic situation initially. They're not very helpful to keep.
And I think some of us, like myself, I want to be a good person. So I don't want to acknowledge I'm really angry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I just kind of wordsmith myself out of it and pretend I'm not. And
right.
That's very, very harmful to your health, to your
emotions. Yes, it's too abrupt of a shift. It's too abrupt of a shift. You have to ease your way and process and feel. Absolutely. If you'd like to reach me, you can find me at, please look us up on YouTube and subscribe to my channel. Lots of interesting things on there. We were talking about the people that your captive audience in the retirement home there.
What I learned was that I ended up playing very sad and sorrowful and sometimes angry music, and they loved it. Mm. It was 6 months before I heard a word out of anybody.
Wow.
In about 9-10 months, they were all chatty Cathys, enjoying the time to visit. And it occurred to me that when you release negative emotions that you've hidden from yourself, and it's very easy to do, trust me.
Ditto.
When you release them through music, all you have to do is feel them. You don't have to think, why, that's so and so, he shouldn't have done. It's like you don't even have to know the related situation. You just have to feel the emotion.
That's very interesting because in 2003, I had a brain injury from a car wreck. And when I started to heal from that, I started taking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to get the motor coordination in my brain integrated, and I loved it. But the music that I listened to was like death metal, and I just loved it, like Tool and Seether and I can't even name them all now, but that music that was so angry and so really resonated in my brain. And now I don't listen to it anymore, but it did help me process my anger. And that was like a mass healing that occurred for them to be able to move through and process their feeling of grief over the loss of the use of their bodies, or the rejection that they might feel from their families, the isolation of being put into institutional care, and find themselves processing those emotions through the music you played. I find that really special.
And if you read things on theosophy or turn of century mysticism, they say that some music, like the ones you were describing, if you have the intent to heal, can be like a jackhammer and get in there and take out all that pain. And I
that's how it was
on this called The Lost Waves of Time.
Oh,
about how music starts out to make you become further away from spirit, feeling more individual and isolated, and how it's actually like we're children following the Pied Piper, investing in matter. And I believe the theory I present in the book is that we all do this so that we become children of God grown up, to stand on our own, make our decisions. And you can't do that when you're in a high connected energy. So, and at any rate, here's Skranthus, which has it has cathartic release. The clip does not have the cathartic release. This is the top part of the music with the frequency and the vibrations of being in the flow of all that is, or God, or your heavenly path, and knowing you've made the right decision. Kind of bypassing, should I do this or that? Just going to a heavenly, this is my path, place or consciousness. And here's Skranthus.
Here we go. Yeah, that one feels to me like you got this.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you see, we think that you think your way into that. No, that's a state of consciousness, and you can get there with frequencies. If you listen enough, it becomes a habit, making decision making and confidence easier.
Yeah. I want to jump quickly to the spirit guides and angels and masters and using sound to connect with them. That might be a new concept for some of our listeners. Tell us a little bit about this first piece that they're going to hear.
Yes. Um, Everything in the periodic chart of elements, meaning everything that is gas, water, liquid, solid, it's it's all in the periodic chart of elements, which is a musical scale. So there's many ways you can come up with the frequency of anything. And energy transfers through octaves as we started, the same note, just higher or lower. So in antiquity, they knew this and they divided the heavenly host, be it ascended master or angel, according to color rays, like the white enlightens light. It's like once you ascend or enlighten, you get your degree in white light, and then you go into graduate school and you do pink, like Kuan Yin, or green, like Buddha, or yellow for Jesus, or purple for Saint Germain. And with mathematics, you can look at, let's say, Archangel Michael, who's blue. An octave of that is your enzyme production. An octave of that is your digestion. It's also strength, nurturing, and being calm. That's all mathematically related to blue. And it is the feature of Archangel Michael.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, in this CD, Contacting Angels and Masters, found at jillswingsoflight.com, I teach you how to figure out your frequencies, that of the ascended host, and that in your body and emotions. In this particular meditation, I have music, which you can take up or down and do with octave chords. I have music in this key signature of pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. It's all math. And then I list some of the benefits you get, and then I channel angels and masters. And they have a vibratory frequency and it records. As a channeler, I know who's going to speak before they speak because I recognize them.
The vibration. Yes, yes, exactly.
And it's not a psychic gift. Everybody has this. Think of your mom sitting next to you. A
Yes.
little different. Same thing. And so then I play the music, let's say in pink, and then I'll channel the angels and masters of pink, and they record. So they download, you have an idea what the benefits are and how it feels. And then as you go through this musical meditative garden from red to orange to yellow, etc., you feel how much different it is. And with many repeats, it's very familiar if a being around you is in pink, a high pink, or a high blue. And then you start to recognize, oh, there's Archangel Michael. And while you're listening to the music and their recorded silent energies, you're downloading them.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
science. And then you
Yeah.
have greater resonance with them.
Yeah. So shall we?
Sure.
Yes. This first one is on contacting angels. Yes, I like how you built that up, raising things from lower to higher. And when it got to the I'm going to call them chimes, like wind chimes or triangle, or I don't know what instrument you were using. That sounded to me like that vibrational frequency that I feel when I reach the angelic realm.
Masters and angels radiating the pink ray are Kuan Yin, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Dom Ignacio, Paul the Venetian, Krishna, and Man. The angel Shamuel also exudes the pink energy. Feel the energy of the beings in the pink ray.
Wow, that one sort of got me visions of the beginning of creation, like the oceans and the waters parting, and really powerful. I learned recently that each of our chakras resonates to a different angelic vibration, like our crown chakra, the seraphim, and our root chakra, the archangels. And a lot of people dismiss the red root chakra as being sort of a lesser chakra, but it in no way is, because all colors, all pieces of the spectrum are important.
As we go through times, and the music would, in essence, of a country or an epic, would tune a country to a chakra where they would master those associated emotions. And now that, Saint Germain is the Chohan, or the master ray or energy at the time, we're starting the color spectrum over again. And this time, instead of having an age of red or yellow or green, it'll be of pink, light orange, lemon, lime.
Mm-hmm.
So we're up to the next octave, in which we're starting to infuse more white light into the color. And there's the distinction. A chakra has a pitch, a color, which is a pitch. It has a rhythm, which is musical. It has a harmonic, which is musical. It has an interval, which is musical. It's associated with organs, with crystals, with smells, with fragrance, all kinds of things. Everything I just mentioned is a frequency.
Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Jill. And I hope that our guests will join us next week. And remember, it's never inappropriate to be kind, and without integrity, you have nothing.